Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Sixers Sense podcast. I'm Lucas, I got Uriah here. Chris is celebrating his college graduation, so we're giving him the day off. But instead it's just me and Uriah. Uriah, it is the weekend. We got to see a pretty good Sixers game to start off the weekend. How we feeling, man?
You been watching World Cup soccer?
Nah, man. I mean, look. Soccer's not really my thing. You know, I'll root for it.
I'm just saying it's a big deal.
I mean, I know it's a big deal. It's just like Italy's my team, and I don't think they're in it anymore. So
no, I think France and Argentina are playing right now.
Not like I said, not a World Cup guy.
I am in the same boat as you. I don't know anything about soccer. I didn't play it growing up. I'd actually rather watch hockey or golf than soccer.
Hockey's not bad in person. I will say that hockey is not bad if you're there in person. But
I like
TV,
hockey.
it's kind of like No, I got to see when I was 16. I got to see a Tampa Bay Lightning game. There was a guy trying to date my mom, and he had season tickets, so he took me there. Got to take a picture with some cute cheerleaders, so it was a win for me.
Hey, sounds good, man. Sounds good. So, didn't you have something about a trade that you want to talk about?
So, just to let you guys know, because we give Chris beef all the time on the podcast about the types of trades he offers us. And right before the podcast, about 26 minutes ago, Chris sent me a trade. So I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to give you guys my honest reaction now. So I'm pulling it up on my phone. Let's see what it says. It's through ESPN. The first fantasy league I actually did, Uriah, was through Yahoo. I was about to say Yoo-hoo.
Okay.
Yoo-hoo is a drink. Yahoo is the website. Let's see here. Trade. Okay, so this is who Chris wants Drew Holiday, Nikola. Actually, no, this isn't a terrible trade, except for the fact that Towns is out right now. He's offering me Drew Holiday and Nikola Jokic for Kyle Lowry, Bradley Beal, Karl Anthony Towns, and John Collins.
Wait, he's giving up
Jokic?
Jokic?
Kyle Lowry. No. He wants me to give up Jokic.
Oh, have
for Kyle Lowry, Bradley Beal, Karl Anthony Towns, and John Collins. Beal and Towns are both injured right now.
Mm-hmm.
Collins is having one of the worst years of his career, and Kyle Lowry's the end of the contract away from being retired.
Nope.
Nah, but this is the type of stuff that he sends us all the time, right? You're right. Like, I'm not making this stuff up.
Yeah.
Must be feeling himself after
trades.
graduating. Congratulations again.
I open his trades, and within 5 seconds, I'm declining. It's just not even worth like comparing the numbers because it's not a fair trade. He's trying to pull a Danny Ainge on everybody. But
he always gets at least one or two guys in our league to make a trade. He always gets one or two guys. Also, it is. No, we have one more podcast before the holiday, right? Well, this is my elf on the shelf. He's not actually an elf, but my grandmother made him, and so he acts as my elf on the shelf. Are you getting excited about the holidays, sweet. Uriah? Sixers playing at
I'm
noon.
excited.
Sixers
I'm excited.
Noon.
Yeah. No, this is the last podcast.
We're not doing it on Wednesday?
Wait, what's today? Sunday? Oh, yeah, we are going to have one Wednesday.
I was about to say, we have one Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about Chris. He's going to be out for a while, and I won't be available. But we'll talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday. Let's get to this Sixers talk, man. The Sixers played on Friday night, national television, ESPN. Good broadcast. They won 118 to 106. I'll give you some team stats, Lucas, before we jump into the specifics. So the Sixers and the Warriors both shot under 50%, and they both made, believe it or not, equal amount of field goals. They both made 39 three-pointers. We saw the Warriors just go off in the first quarter. They cooled down, obviously. The Sixers only made 2 less three-pointers than Golden State. They made 15. Golden State made 17. They both shot 39%. Free throws, Lucas. That is where the game was won. The Sixers made it to the foul line 31 times compared to 13 for Golden State. They capitalized on that. They made 25 of those free throw shots, while Golden State only got 11. There was really no big difference in assists. Actually, no assists. Golden State was moving the ball very nicely. They had 31 to 23. Rebounding is what I was going to say was pretty much equal. Turnovers were almost the same. The largest lead for Golden State was 11, and the Sixers late in the game, they went up by 15. So let's go to some initial takeaways from this game. Lucas, what'd you think about the Golden State win?
That Joel Embiid's name should be higher in the MVP race than it is.
Okay.
Look, he almost outshot Golden State in free throws. He had 12. They had 13 attempts. The fact is, the guy. Tell me if this is wrong. This is wrong feeling. It feels wrong when he doesn't at least score 30. Like 30 is the norm now. 30 is the normal for him now. Like I think I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think I heard on the broadcast that in the past 13 games he scored like 30 plus at least 11 times, something along those lines. Like I said, I don't have the stats, so I can't give you the exact numbers. But Joel Embiid is getting disrespected in this year's MVP race. And I get it that he missed a couple games here and there to begin with, and Jason Tatum's awesome. I get it. But you got to look, this guy was a 2-time runner-up. He's averaging more points this year than he was last year, still leading the league. And it doesn't even look like he's trying that hard. That's the crazy thing. Does it look like he's trying that hard to score? It doesn't feel like it to me.
Well, I think the matchups might have something to do with it. There's really no one that can really guard him. Like he's always a lot bigger than his opponents. He made
Brook Lopez look silly last game that they played, and he's been one of the better players that can guard him, right? We haven't played Toronto yet, so maybe Toronto is like the only other real challenge besides Lopez. And so like look, and James Harden had another great game. I'm liking this version of James Harden. Those are James Harden, the playmaker, is what we need. I mean, great that he's scoring, but like I like at least 9 assists from James Harden, if not more.
Well, he had that, didn't he? He had that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this version of James Harden, I like 9 assists, 27 points. We don't even need 27 once Tyrese Maxey gets back and Tobias Harris gets back. We need maybe 20, 22. Like this version of James Harden is. Give it 2 or 3 weeks. I think Joel's name is going to be in the top 3 of MVP race. Just give it some time as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. The only thing I would say is that this year, more than a lot of years in the past, it's really competitive. There's a lot of really great players who are leading their teams and scoring and doing so much and doing it at a consistent level, whether it's Jason Tatum, Giannis, Luka Doncic is playing out of his mind. So Embiid has a tough hill to climb, and don't forget about Jokic. But yeah, I can't disagree with that. And Harden,
he's
like
higher.
Saying,
Jokic is higher in the MVP race than Joel, and I think Joel is having a much better season because Jokic's scoring is down significantly this year.
It is down, but I think he's having the most assists ever.
No, he's average. He's one of the best.
It's like 9. I think he's averaging 9,
8 or 9, something like that. Look, I mean, and that's impressive. I'm not, but like we've seen that from Jokic before.
Well, let's get back to this game real quick.
Sorry.
Let me talk about what I noticed, and you brought it up when we first got on here. Is Dante DiVincenzo. That guy,
Delaware represents
Villanova. I'd say star. He was lights out in the championship game.
Yeah.
When he was going off in the first quarter, I just looked back when he was drafted, and I was like, whoever is going to get him is going to get a solid player, not an NBA star, but as you can see, he can do it all: defense, he can drive, he can pass, and he can shoot. I think he was 4 for 4 at one point in the first quarter. They're playing without Steph Curry, so someone you knew was going to step up. Jordan Poole is a really good player. Offensively, he has so much in his bag. I think it was Wiseman who had the near triple-double. Wiseman or
Looney.
Yeah,
14 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. They should have kept him in the game to get him that last assist. He deserves it after all the...
That would have been nice. For them, that would have been nice. But how about Klay Thompson in this game? Could not hit the side of a barn. I kind of feel bad for him because he just doesn't look like himself. I know his injuries have hampered him over the years.
Can I say something that might be blasphemous for Warriors fans regarding Klay Thompson?
I have no attachment to him. Go ahead.
I think if you're trying to save luxury tax money, you trade him this offseason. You have an heir apparent in Jordan Poole. Clay's, and like, I get it, what he means to the franchise. But if they're trying to save money, which it sounds like they are, Clay might be the odd man out. Not Draymond. Well, I mean, Draymond probably should go too. But, like, I don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with Draymond.
I mean, Draymond needs to go. I think you have Steph, and then you have these young guys. And look, everybody's worried about these young guys not developing at a fast rate, but we have to remember Kayvon Looney was drafted, like 2017, 18? And it took him until last year to really get a role. So it takes time for Golden State Warriors to develop their young guys. So I know you don't want to waste Steph, but I think keeping Clay might be wasting Steph, to be honest.
Yeah, but hey, look, at this point, how many championships do they have? At this point, they'll be fine if they have a few seasons where they fall out of the standings. But a final thing I want to say about this game: Shake Milton off the bench, 31 minutes, 11 points, 3 for 6, very efficient. Melton, every game, it just seems like this guy seems to impress. He had a total of 17 points, 7 for 14. And from the 3-point line, he was 3 for 8. So, and he had 9 rebounds and 7 assists. So Melton is showing us what he can do. Tobias was out this game. So with him out, other guys stood out and stepped up. PJ Tucker had a nice game. Efficient, 3 for 5, made a 3-pointer. So yeah, that was an impressive win. It was not looking good early, but I know anytime a team starts out, Lucas, hot, like 80% of the time, the second
they're going to end up losing. Different.
Yeah.
I got a question. Before we move on, what are we going to do with Melton once Maxey gets back? Because you're not going to put Maxey off the bench. I would not do that. However,
they're going to put Melton on the bench. It's just a matter of minutes and matchups.
I have an alternative.
All right, what is it? And
I think Chris, if he was here, he would love this one. But what if you brought Tobias off the bench and go with a small starting 5?
Man, that would.
I mean, look, it gives Tobias more with the ball in his hands.
He's already had to modify his game and adjust
I know
his role.
It is not fair to him. But look how well Melton's playing.
It's hard to argue. A small 3.
Harden, yes,
6'5", Maxey,
look,
6'2".
I mean, look, you can play. James can guard threes. I'm not worried about that because James is like 6'5". Some threes are 6'6", 6'7". You can get away with that. But like, I mean, look, you could argue Tucker could come off the bench, but I don't really.
There's too many long wings in this league that are in starting lineups that would just really give us problems.
But I
agree with your original. Last week you mentioned Thibault maybe being in the starting lineup, or was it House? You still think
House? Yeah.
The Sixers are 4-1 when Thibault starts this season. Take that for what it is. He's been playing better lately.
I mean, a little bit.
He's been playing better.
A little bit.
Look, let's get to a quote, Lucas, because after the game, Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid were asked some questions after their win against Golden State. I'm going to play it real quick, and then we can talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
We're healthier or getting there slowly. We're playing better basketball, Keith. We've kind of found it, and we're still not there because we need everyone back, but we're finding who we are. I think our guys are finally seeing, like, this is who we are. This is how we have to play. They know it. They're starting to visualize what we are, and that's a good thing.
When you're able to get stops, you can run, you can get easy baskets. I think, that's where it starts. And offensively, just, putting the ball in the right guy's hands and, the ball is moving. If we don't have anything, we know what to do. We go from the first action to the second action, even to the third action. So it's been great. We just I think we still got a lot, to improve on. And but it's been good to see what we've been able to do.
All right, so Lucas, I have a question related to those two quotes.
Okay,
Sixers have won 4 games in a row.
Yes,
it's feeling good, looking good as of right now. But my question to you is, do you think that this 4-game win streak is a sign of the team gaining momentum? Or is this win streak, Lucas, mainly because of matchup favorability? They beat the Lakers, Hornets, Kings, and a Warriors team without Steph Curry. What do you think?
Well, okay, let's not crap on the Kings because the Kings actually look good this year. The Lakers had been playing better. AD started to look good. I mean, we should have probably, in all intents and purposes, we gave up that lead. We should have lost that Lakers game. That did not feel like a good win to me. Hornets are going for Wembanyama. Like, there's no way around it. They just don't have the pieces now that Miles Bridges, even though his legal stuff is over, like I don't see him coming back to the NBA. It'd be a very tough road and bad PR for any team to take him on. So I don't know. I'm gonna say more or less the Sixers starting to figure things out. Though I do think some matchups do help. We know that Joel does really good against AD. As much as Mason Plumlee does good things for me in fantasy basketball, he's not a guy that's going to slow down Joel at all. Sabonis has never been a defender. And who is this last game? The Golden State Warriors.
The Warriors.
Looney's 6'7". In real life, he's like 6'7", 6'8". He's not going to do anything against Joel. So part of this is matchups, sure, but I think part of it is Joel and Harden starting to figure things out. Now, this will all change yet again when Maxey comes back in because he's the third best player on this team, arguably second best, depending on how you feel about Harden.
Right.
But that's going to change the whole entire dynamic again because Harden's going to have to relegate even more of his scoring to Maxey. Same thing with Tobias when Tobias comes back, too. Like, Tobias has been looking better because he's getting the ball in his hands a little bit more, but then he's going to have to go back to a 3-and-D guy. And while he's doing the best he can in that role, he's only averaging, I think at the beginning of the year when he was doing it was like, 12, 13 points a game. It didn't look pretty. Yeah. So it's going to take time. It's good that they're hitting this stride right now, but when Maxey comes back, which I think Doc hinted at that he was going to get Maxey in a practice at the end of this past week, are going to try to. So I expect Maxey back hopefully before Christmas. I think that's a realistic expectation. I think it's going to take some more time. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I agree with what you said. And based on what Doc was saying is they're figuring out who they are. And even though those teams are not top tier teams like Milwaukee or Memphis, I do think that regardless of matchup, it's they're gelling. They're starting to come together. They're figuring out their tendencies more. Harden is becoming more comfortable with his teammates from last year and this year. As far as what Joel said, it was very promising to know that he's thinking of the game cerebrally, kind of like chess. He's like first action, second action,
game
third
has
action.
Slowed down for him now.
You can tell.
You can see how he scores because nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop Joel this season. That's why he's the league in score. Like his efficiency is still where it's normally at, or roundabout. His cerebral. The game's like you talked about how he's young basketball wise. He's maturing into a basketball adult now, Uriah. We're seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so before we go to the next topic that Lucas introduces, I have a special promo for the Sixers Sends, our podcast. I'm going to play right now. So, Lucas, this is Lucas's first time hearing this. Let me know.
Okay, yes, I'm very shocked.
Calling all Sixers fans, North Philly, West Philly, South Philly. You out there? What about the Northeast and Roxborough, South Jersey, Bucks County? You listening? I'm here to remind you about the Sixers Sends podcast. I know there's lots of other podcasts that talk Sixers basketball, but none talk it quite like us. Why? Each week we bring you multiple episodes where we dive into player topics, team subjects, and even invite special guests for enlightening and fun conversations. Who have we had on the pod? Key members of the Philly sports community, like former WIP director Spike Eskin.
Joel plays basketball, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't have interesting things to say. It just means that not everybody is like super pumped to talk for 45 minutes. I just wanted him to enjoy himself. Like I wanted him to know that he was in a place that was safe with people who cared about him.
co-creator of the basketball phenomenon Game of Zones, Adam Malamud.
I'd probably do something along the lines of, like, in the last season of Game of Zones, we had the Nets, like Kyrie leading all these guys, the hated guys in the NBA who felt the media hated them. I would definitely do something like that, like the Nets embracing the dark side. And the funny thing about that is, like,
Yes.
like Steve Nash is, like, such a likable guy, and so he's such a funny coach to be, like, their Lord Commander, you know what I mean?
And Forbes sports writer Brian Toporek.
I really think they need to just get Paul Reed up to speed as much as they possibly can. He has so much more defensive versatility, and yeah, he's going to make more mistakes. He's young, he's mistake prone, he's not as experienced as Montrezl Harrell, but like that is what the regular season is for.
Don't miss an episode where co-hosts Lucas Johnson and Christopher Klein talk about Joel Embiid, James Harden, and so much more. Go ahead and subscribe to the Sixer Sense podcast, wherever you get your podcast today.
I like that. That's cool. I did not know that you were doing that. That was solid. I liked it. I like the sound bites. I was not expecting the sound bites. I'm all for it. Thank you for all your hard work, bro.
Hey, I spent several hours yesterday and a little bit this morning going back to the archives, and I grabbed different quotes from different guys we've had on the podcast. So there's more to come. That was just one. So, all right, let me hit the transition button.
And before we get into our next subject, I just got a notification on my phone for NBA heads in general. Might be in Lakers fans. Anthony Davis will be missing multiple weeks due to that foot injury from last game. So any chance of the Lakers? Nah, it's not happening now.
Sorry, LA, it's not looking good.
It's just, come on, AD. Like, you know what? There are just some people's bodies. Some people's bodies are just not made for a 82 game season, and I think AD is just one of those guys. Okay, so now getting back to actual Sixers stuff that our listeners actually want to listen to. That, I mean, not saying that that's not important, but you know. So. For those that know, we played the Warriors last game. Andre Iguadala had been a big part of 3 of their championship run. He's still on the team, and he's getting ready to retire after this season, and he was in town. So, Uriah, let me ask you this. What's the first thing that you think of when Iggy as a Sixer?
Wow. So many really good memories of Iguodala. And I want to keep it positive because he got a lot of criticism when he was here, mainly because when Allen Iverson left, there was this void to fill. And to have him expected to fill that void from someone as
so
great
unfair.
and prolific, it was more than just unfair. It was unrealistic. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason why is I'll give you an example, right? So when AI left, the first AI, and Iguodala came in, the Sixers made it to a playoff series against the Pistons. And I was at the Wells Fargo Center when they played this game, and I couldn't believe how difficult it was for him to score. And this is when they had, I think, Ben Wallace and
I was about to say, it was the second iteration of the Bad Boys. So
yeah, it's a tough Pistons team, but clearly, Iguodala was expected to be that guy, and he could not. And fans got mad at him, how much money he made, and it was unfair, like you said, and unrealistic. But the one thing I'll say about Iguodala is he hit some clutch shots. He's well known for his dunking, being in the dunk contest, and just being able to get up and down like a
one
gazelle.
Of the best high flyers that we've seen in the 20th century.
But if I were to say what I recall
21st.
on Iggy as a Sixer was he had some nice clutch shots in some big games. He had a game winner against the Orlando Magic in a playoff series. I think it was like game 1 or 2. He had a game winner against the Lakers in LA, a walk-off three-pointer. And he's had a few others. So Iggy did some good things by the team who drafted him, and I wish him the best when he retires.
Absolutely. Funny thing, I don't know if you know this, him and Evan Turner now have a podcast called The Point Forward.
Of course they do.
Yeah, of course. Because
Evan
Turner. Gosh.
Who I would not, I'm sorry. I think he was a good player and he had a nice career, but have you heard him talk before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, like E.T., I love you, but man,
he got a raw
it's just
deal.
His
too.
Tone.
He got a raw deal.
How?
Too.
From who?
Because like Doug Collins never properly developed him.
I don't know about that. He was the number 2 pick, so he came with high expectations.
But like, yeah, I understand that. I mean, he didn't deliver. That's on him. But like, part of it was not Doc. Even though they feel like the same
Collins.
guy sometimes.
Doug
Yeah,
Collins. Yeah.
Collins. I felt like he never really like took the time to like. It was always Iggy's team. He never let Turner try to take over. And, like, we know Turner was a 20-point per game scorer in college. And then it just, I don't know.
He never got a 3-point shot.
And that was at the turn of when three-pointers started becoming more important. But getting back to Iggy now.
Right.
I will say this. There's not one moment that really sticks out to me, but I will say the thought of Iguadala in Philly was that he was misunderstood as a player. He was always misunderstood as a player. He's never going to be like he made one All-Star team, I think, during his time here. He's not going to be the guy that scores 20 to 25 points per game. His highest scoring season ever was 18. He's that utility guy. He would be a great let's just say if he was on this team right now, he'd be a great 3rd or 4th starter for this team. But he was never number 1, he was never number 2. And like you said, Philly fans were really unfair to him because they didn't understand his game.
Right.
And that's why I say misunderstood. That's my memory of Andre Iguodala as a misunderstood player.
Okay. You mean Sixer, right?
Yeah, as a Sixer.
Misunderstood,
now, he got traded from Philly to Denver, and then Denver he got traded. Like, was it traded or free? I think it was a trade, right?
I don't remember.
It was one of those. It doesn't matter. He got to Golden State. He was the starter the first year there, and then he started coming off the bench. What's the first thing you think of as him as a warrior?
Andre Iguodala as a warrior, I think perfect fit. He just was the Swiss Army knife, rebound, get out on the break, distribute. And because he's such a skilled player, he was able to do what the team needed him to do because you had scorers in Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Iguodala, even as he got older, was even more effective because of his basketball wisdom and his experience. So I think perfect fit. That's what I think of. What do you think of?
I think that's I like the idea, but my term will be revolutionary because without Iggy, that death lineup would not have worked. Draymond and Iggy made that death lineup work because Iggy could guard pretty much all 5 outside of center. He could guard any other position. He helped make that death lineup work. So him being that ultimate Swiss Army knife, because we didn't really see it that often in the NBA prior to Iggy. Now we're seeing it a lot more often. And I think revolutionary is being a star in your role, which I mean isn't the first time we've heard that. Obviously, wasn't the last time, but like he was a former All-Star, all defensive player, willing to come off the bench, forgo his ego. Because he was clearly better than Harrison Barnes at that point. Forgo that ego. And arguably probably should have won 6th Man of the Year at least once or twice during that time. But, Jamal Crawford was having his moment. Same thing with Lou Williams. But, like, he was just as important to that team than those guys were to their team, arguably even more. So I would say revolutionary because he made that. Without him, I don't think they win those titles. I mean, look, he got Finals MVP for guarding LeBron James. So, I think revolutionary would be the right term for me.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, going to my last part here, Uriah, and this is the really tough question. We're going to have to dig our teeth into this one. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Part of me says no, because not many Hall of Famers get in averaging under 20 points a game unless you're like Dennis Rodman or Ben Wallace or somebody like that. I'm looking right here, Lucas, and you did mention he's an all-star. He was one-time all-star, 4-time NBA champ, 2004, 2005 all-rookie team, 2-time all-defensive, and the 2014-15 MVP. So I'd say Finals MVP. Yeah. Because he does have the all-defensive trademark, attached to his body of work. And because he was a finals MVP, I think that boosts his chances of making the Hall of Fame. He's not a lock in. I mean, we'll leave it up
he's
to
not
the
a
people
first
who
ballot,
vote, obviously.
absolutely. No.
But it'll be tough for him to get in just because his scoring numbers. And just real quick, before you give your opinion, when he was in Philly, 8 seasons, he averaged 15 points, 4 rebounds, and how many assists? Where is his assists? And 4.9 assists. When he went to Golden State, for 7 seasons, he averaged 7 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. So those are not jump off the page stats that might hinder him from getting in. What do you think?
I mean, look, he's definitely going to get into the Golden State Warriors Hall of Fame. He might even get his jersey retired. I think I think he deserves that. That being said, do I think he gets into the Hall of Fame? My gut reaction is no. But I will say this: if he does, and like the Finals MVP certainly helps, if he does, it won't be until he's much later in life, or maybe even after he leaves this world. You know, I think it's going to be one of those type things where he's going to be like the last year of eligibility type thing.
Went morbid on me right there.
I mean, look, I'm being honest here. I mean, am I wrong? Like that might be the only way that he gets in.
It's just the way you said it.
I'm brutally honest. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No, I get it. I get it. All right, let's switch gears here. All right, the last topic for this podcast episode has to do with James Harden, who is really flourishing right now. He seems like he's getting some wind in his sails. He was recently interviewed exclusively by author Yaron Weitzman. He wrote the book Tanking to the Top. He also, I believe, wrote for Bleacher Report, if I'm not mistaken. But really good writer. I read his book in like 48 hours about.
Can you send me that book? Because I've been wanting to read that.
I can.
Cool, thank you.
I definitely can. So here's some questions. Here's some quotes from the interview that he had with James Harden, who, by the way, in the article, they mentioned Harden does not like giving interviews, and he specifically said why. But for whatever reason, he was promoted in this one. So Yaron Weitzman asked him, he says, "Don't you care about how you'll be remembered?" And in response, related to the legacy of James Harden, Harden replied, "Of course." And he said, "I'm going to be remembered in basketball." He said, "I care about winning and things that are important and that matter. I am one of the people that changed the game of basketball. Honestly, the only thing that I'm missing is a championship." So, Lucas, that's a pretty big statement.
It is.
Do you agree with what Harden said about changing the game of basketball?
I don't know if he's changed it, but he will be remembered as one of the best isolation players of all time. Absolutely. Right. You don't put up 35 points per game in a single season, leading the league in this. Like, he's the only one that's come close to Steph Curry's single season record of 3-pointers made, right?
I believe so. I can look that up.
Putting your name in the analogs to Steph Curry, like, in my opinion, James Harden, easily a top 25 player of all time, arguably top 20. Now, the only thing, legacy-wise that I question about Harden is what position is he going to be remembered at? Is he going to be remembered as a shooting guard, where he was for the first half of his career, or is he going to be remembered as a point guard, the second half of his career? That's a small detail.
I'll answer that.
Okay,
later.
Go ahead. Answer that.
Well, I think it'll be the latter, because I'm looking at his stats now. He averaged double-digit assists more than half his career. So that tells you that his playmaking became a major point other than scoring.
When did he stop playing with a true point guard? Because he played with a true point guard. Patrick Beverley, we can cross him out. But like Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, he's played with a legit point guard for the majority of his career. Kyrie Irving, even though Irving said he was a shooting guard that year.
From age 20 to 26, I'm looking here at Basketball Reference, he played shooting guard. And then from 27 until now, 33, he's been a point guard.
So that means Chris Paul was a shooting guard in OKC. Okay. You know what? Not going to question that. Not going to question it, even though he's the point guard.
But what do you think he meant by that? That's what I wanted to know from you. He said, "I changed." What do you think he's thinking? Like, how do you think he changed?
Probably how you run an offense, honestly, in terms of like high pick and rolls. The step back, isolation, 1-on-1, spread 5 offense. I think those are the things that he's talking about. Now, the spread out 5, we knew that that's not the case because Golden State did that before him. But isolation, like in terms of the step back 3, nobody was doing that before him. Not even
so. That's what he was. So that's what
I think that's what he meant.
Yeah,
that's the iconic thing that I go to, because you think of James Harden, you think of step back 3.
Mm-hmm.
Dame Lillard, you think of Logan Lillard. Steph Curry, it's Curry time. Cooking time with Curry. It's like each one of these fantastic 3-point shooters have a thing. The step back, because that step back, when I first saw it, when I was in, I think, right after college, that's when it started coming out. When I was right after college, I was like, that has to be a travel. That has to be. It's not a travel though.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, a lot of players have adopted it since. And I mean, look, he hit about 2 of those in the game, last game against the Warriors. His step back is looking great, by the way, this season. I like it. A lot better than last year's. So yeah, I think it has to be the step back. What about you? What do you think?
I think I agree with you with everything you said. I think what he's meaning to say is his legacy or his impact on the game in terms of other players emulating his style is that step back, because nobody was really doing that and no one was doing it as effectively. Damian Lillard, you could argue, might be as equal a step back 3-point shooter, but Harden, whether it's distributing the basketball or all the different things you mentioned,
he was a one-man offense for about 3 to 4 years.
Right, that ISO ball, we've never seen anything like that. Nobody's been able to do just dribble and then put his guy to sleep and then blow past him, or chuck up a 3, and it's like, how do you stop that? It's and I think Chuck and Shaq, all those guys, I believe they commented like they had never seen anything like that. Nobody else was doing what he was doing at that time.
So let me ask you, where do you put Harden in the all-time list?
It's funny. We talked about this last week. Top 10 point guards. I thought he made the list simply because I compared him to John Stockton. And I heard
Stockton,
that part of he's amazing, but anything that Stockton could do, Harden could do, but everything that Harden could do, Stockton could not do. So that's why I think that he would be in that top.
But can
10.
we put him in the
and
point
I'm not
guard
pushing
list
out
if he didn't play half of his career at point guard?
I think numbers don't lie. I think the number of assists that he's had.
Where does he rank on the all-time assist list? That's what I want to know right now. You have his stats up. You should be able to look it up.
Well, I have his stats right now. He has a total of 4. Wait, assists.
It should be you're on an NBA reference. When you go down to
he has 6,546 assists. That's his total NBA career. So, I see what you're saying. Free throws first, 3-point field goals.
Okay, let's see here.
Oh, for his career, he's third with 3-point field goals. Is that right?
I mean, think about it.
Or are you talking about assists?
I'm talking about assists.
Assists, NBA career, he's 27th. He's 27th all time with 6,546 assists. Yeah, he's going to pass Kyle Lowry pretty soon. He's less than 100 away from Kyle. And he didn't really become a point guard, like you said, until halfway through his career. That's pretty impressive. Active player, the highest active player right now is Westbrook. And he's 11. If he gets
LeBron. LeBron with that 6.
To get 500 more assists, which would put him above Tony Parker, Tim Hardaway, he'll crack the top 20. I don't know if he'll reach Andre Miller, he's got 8,500 assists and he's 12th. I definitely don't think he's going to get catch Russell Westbrook or LeBron. But I think he was I think he's a top 10 point guard.
Sorry, my bad. Chris Paul's third. I forgot about Chris Paul. Yeah. No, I think
right.
The argument could be made. I'd have to look at the whole entire list and think about it. Like I said earlier, I think he's a top 25 player of all time. I think that's
hands down.
It maybe even
hands
top
down.
20. I mean, what he's done offensively is just fantastic. Obviously, he's in a different stage of his career now, so we have to consider that. But I like the way that I think he's okay with saying that. I think that's okay for him to say that he's changed basketball because he has.
Yeah, he's had an influence.
Hard for players to say that because, like, let's think of how many players actually changed basketball in today's NBA. Not that many. LeBron James, he made the stretch center happen with Chris Paul, right? Chris Bosh, right? So that's more on Chris Bosh, but we'll just give it to LeBron. Then you got Steph Curry, right?
Mm-hmm. Steph definitely changed.
Steph, Draymond, that whole entire crew, right? We'll give that all to them, right?
Yeah.
Then who? James Harden? Who else besides James Harden? Maybe Joel? Jokic? They're still young in their careers to really say that for certain.
Right.
But, like, Giannis, as great as he is, like, I mean, you have to change your defense, but not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same type of impact. So
yeah, his is more stylistic. It's really stylistic, and you can't argue
for him
with
to
that.
be one of the few players to say that he's changed the way of basketball, I think it's first off, it's true. Secondly, I think it's a big deal if you can actually say that and back it up, which you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Last topic related to Harden. And I think that, depending on what happens this season, or actually for the rest of his tenure as a 76er, we'll be able to debate this. And it's conditional, because if he does what he is, if he does what he is expected to do, then all will be good. But he still has this cloud over his head. And some people look at how he handled the Houston situation in Brooklyn, and it left a bad taste in their mouth. So in the article, if you read it and anyone else reads it, Yaron Weitzman did a great job. He got quotes from former coaches, I think high school coach, and obviously people who worked in the same building as him. Yeah, he does his research. And they brought up the whole idea of the poor performance in postseason. So my question to you is, based on his legacy, what do you think has hurt his career, his legacy more up to this point? Would you say it's his poor performance in the clutch in the playoffs, or do you think that it's more of how he's handled pushing himself out of teams to get out? What do you think?
I'm going to say the playoffs, because looking back at both of those situations, Houston got a new owner. He was done spending. He did not want to spend anymore. The team was not going to go anywhere. Morey left. D'Antoni left. Harden's still in the prime of his career. Understandable that he would want to leave. Totally understandable. Then you look at Brooklyn. I don't think I need to say much else. Kyrie Irving's a mess. Granted, they're playing good basketball now. Kudos to them. But, look, clearly Harden saw something wrong with, saw what was going on and decided that he needed to get out. And Morey was just like, hey, buddy, come back to me. Baby, come back. That's exactly what happened in my head. That is exactly what happened. So
poor playoff performance for you.
I think it's poor playoff performance, because, and I don't even think that's all on him. We talked about how he was a one-man offense. Eventually that wears that player out. I don't care who you are. Even LeBron got worn. And, unless you're LeBron James, who took, Deladova to the final in 2016, you're going to get worn out. I don't care who you are.
You had that wrong. It was Deladova took LeBron to the championship. What are you talking about, man? Get it right.
Delly.
Get it right.
Is he on Sacramento this year after not being in the league for 3 years?
I think so.
Good for Delly. Yep. You know what? I was always a fan of Delly. Yeah.
His shot was the most unorthodox I've seen in a long time.
Wait a second. Do you not remember our friend Mr. Sean Marion?
Well, he retired a while ago.
I know.
Delada's still playing.
I guess, yeah.
Between him and Halliburton, they have some weird shots. But as far as my opinion about the legacy and what's hurt Harden more up to this point, I would say how he pushed his way out of Brooklyn and Houston. And the reason why is because in the article, his coach and some of the, I guess, the people that were quoted and watched and know Harden, they said, look, in those games where he didn't perform up to the level of expectation, like they said, he just ran out of gas. And he's had teams in Houston where he had to do everything. So if you're going into a late round playoff series and you're playing 44 minutes a night, you run out of gas. So that impacted him. And also, like, conditional, right? If things don't work out with Philly and things go south and sour, then he might end up going somewhere else. And then I think that's going to hang over his head is how he when things don't go right, how he tries to jump ship and go somewhere else for a better situation. So I
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And I'll even help your point here. It's not the fact that he pushed his way out. It's the fact that he did not try as he pushed his way out. That looked terrible. That being said, I still hold on to my point. I think it's the playoffs. Because at the end of the day, we look at championships. That's the honest truth. That being said, if things don't work out here in Philly for him and he doesn't win a championship, he's not going to win a championship as a top 3 player on a roster. He will have to win it as a role player. If he can accept that role, which I don't know if he can. Like, I love James Harden, but there is an ego there. I don't think any of us deny that. And it'll be interesting to see if he can accept a role player role once his, game diminishes even more.
Yeah.
So I think Philly's his last chance to be a top 3 player and have a chance at an MVP title. I mean, MVP trophy and an NBA title. You know what I mean? Like, he won't have that anywhere else. Like, if he shows up in the NBA Finals and outplays Joel, I don't think many of us will bat an eye. Like, if he gets Finals MVP, great. Awesome. Yeah. My personal bet, I think Tyrese Maxey has a better shot than him, though. But that's just me, because I love Tyrese, and you know how Tyrese steps up. But the nice thing for Harden here in Philly is that the burden of expectation is less. Because you have Joel Embiid. You have Tyrese Maxey. Heck, if you're off shooting, guess what? You got Tobias Harris. Your job is to pass the ball. If you don't score, as long as if you get like only 10 points but 15 assists, the fan base is still going to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, burden of expectation here in Philly is probably the lowest that it's been in his whole entire career. So.
Yeah. Can't disagree with that.
Yeah. That's all I got to really say. I don't know how to wrap that up, but that's how I feel.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead. I'll lead us out, and let me hit my little music button. All right, Chris usually does this. I'm not as good as him, but
I believe in you.
So thank you for watching us on YouTube. If you watch this, and if you listen to us, we appreciate it. If you could give us a subscribe either on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms that you use, we greatly appreciate it. The Sixers play Monday night against the Toronto Raptors in Philly. Game starts at 7 p.m. We'll have another podcast. Yep, we'll talk about that game at that time. So until then, you guys have a great start to your week, and you guys take care out there.